9 seconds mistake that destroyed my 8 years of marriage. A true confession written in pain. I used to believe that love was strong enough to survive anything, lies, distance, even temptation. I was wrong. Sometimes, it only takes a few seconds to destroy something you've built for years. Mine took just 9 seconds, 9 foolish, painful seconds that cost me everything I ever held dear. I was married to a good man for 8 beautiful years. We had 3 lovely children, a home that always smelled of laughter and Sundays too. My husband was a provider, a protector, the kind of man who made other women admire you quietly. He had presence, the kind of presence that filled a room without trying. I used to look at him and think, I'm lucky. We weren't perfect, of course. We had our small fights, bills, children, fatigue, the usual. But beneath it all, there was love, respect, and an understanding that made me feel safe. I used to brag to my friends that even when I was angry, I could still sleep peacefully beside him. That's how much I trusted him. Then came that night. A night that split my life into 2, before and after. It was around 1 a.m. The room was dark except for the red glow of the alarm clock. I had woken from a dream, something strange I couldn't remember clearly. I sat up, trying to calm my breathing, and that's when his phone buzzed. It was his alarm. I reached out to turn it off, careful not to wake him. But then, another sound followed, a tiny whisper inside my head. Why don't you check his WhatsApp, it said. At first, I froze. My heart thumped once, hard. I told myself it was nonsense, just a random thought. But the whisper came again, quieter, more tempting. What if he's hiding something? I stared at his phone. I knew his password, he had nothing to hide, or so I thought. But curiosity can be a cruel thing. It doesn't shout, it hums. And the more you listen, the louder it becomes. Before I knew it, my fingers were already moving. I unlocked his phone, scrolled through, opened WhatsApp. Everything looked normal, friends, family, work chats. But then I saw it, a name I didn't recognize. A woman's name. I opened it. Flirty words. Compliments. A few emojis that made my stomach twist. I froze. My heart sank into my chest like a stone. I scrolled further, faster, angry tears burning my eyes. My husband, my perfect, loyal husband, had been talking to another woman. The messages weren't graphic, but they were intimate. Too intimate. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled. I felt sick. I looked at him, sleeping peacefully beside me, and something inside me cracked. After all I've done for him. I whispered under my breath. I felt betrayed, worthless, angry, all at once. I didn't think, I didn't even cry. I just sat there, staring at his face, wondering how long he had been lying to me. The whisper in my head changed its tone. It no longer sounded curious. It sounded mocking. Now you know. What will you do about it? I wish I had closed that phone, gone back to sleep, and talked to him in the morning. But I didn't. That night, the seed of destruction was planted, and I watered it with my pride. The next morning felt different. The sun still shone, the birds still chirped, but everything inside me was heavy. It was as if someone had poured stones into my chest while I slept. My husband was humming in the bathroom, getting ready for work, and that sound, that calm, carefree sound, made my skin crawl. How could he be so normal after what I'd seen? He came out of the shower with a towel around his waist, smiling like always. Good morning, baby, he said, leaning to kiss my forehead. I turned my face away. He paused. What's wrong? Bad dream? I shook my head. Nothing. I just didn't sleep well. He studied me for a moment. He always did that when something bothered me. His eyes could read me like a book. But this time, I looked away quickly. I didn't want him to see the storm inside me. The rest of the morning was quiet. I served breakfast, helped the kids get ready for school, and watched him leave like I always did. Only this time, my mind wouldn't stop spinning. Every smile he gave the children felt fake. Every "I love you" sounded rehearsed. I started doubting everything, every phone call, every late night, every business trip. By noon, I had gone through his phone again. Then again in the evening. The chats were still there, nothing new. But my imagination had already started writing new stories, ones that didn't even exist. That's the thing about curiosity, once you feed it, it doesn't stop eating. It becomes hunger. It becomes obsession. At night, when he tried to hold me, I turned away. When he asked if something was wrong, I snapped, "I'm fine," even though I wasn't. I hated him, yet I missed him. I wanted to confront him, yet I was scared he'd lie again. A few days passed like that, silence mixed with fake smiles. I stopped laughing. I stopped cooking with love. I stopped being his friend. I became a stranger sleeping beside him. Then one night, he reached for me again, concern in his eyes. "Babe, did I do something? You've been cold lately." I wanted to scream, "Yes. You cheated on me, but I didn't." Instead, I said, "Just tired." He sighed and pulled me close. "I'm sorry if I've been too busy. You know I love you, right?" The words hit me hard. He said them so easily, so gently. I almost believed him again. Almost. But then I remembered those messages, those flirty lines from that woman, and I stiffened. He noticed, but he said nothing. That's one thing about him, when something hurts him deeply, he doesn't argue. He just becomes quiet. That quietness burned me more than shouting would have. That night, I lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling. My thoughts became darker. I told myself, if he can do it, why can't I? I convinced myself that revenge was balance, that pain deserved pain. I remembered my ex, the one who never truly left my life, the one who always texted, "How are you? Miss you sometimes." He had been a mistake from my past, but now, in my anger, he suddenly felt like comfort. The poison of curiosity had already spread to my heart. But the next poison, revenge, was already brewing inside me. I wish I had slept that night. I wish I had turned to my husband and said, "I saw your old messages, and I'm hurt." But I didn't. Instead, I let the devil whisper again, and this time, I listened. The day I decided to call my ex started like any other ordinary day, except that inside me, everything was already broken. I woke up early, prepared the kids for school, smiled at my husband as he left for work, but the smile didn't reach my heart. It was fake, dry, like something rehearsed. I don't know if anyone has ever felt that kind of emptiness, when you're surrounded by everything you prayed for, yet all you can feel is pain. I kept thinking about those messages. They haunted me every time I closed my eyes. I replayed them again and again until my anger turned into poison. By afternoon, I was shaking with thoughts I couldn't control. "He cheated," I whispered to myself while washing the dishes. "He broke my trust. He deserves to feel what I feel." That's how revenge started, quietly, in my mind. At first, I told myself I just wanted to talk to my ex. Nothing serious. Just to feel wanted again. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. I wanted to hurt my husband. I wanted to destroy the image of perfection I once had of him. I sat on the couch for almost 30 minutes, staring at my phone. My heart was racing. My hands were trembling. Then I scrolled through my contacts and stopped at his name. David. He had always lingered around my life, checking on me once in a while, commenting on old pictures, pretending to care. I had ignored him for years. But that day, anger opened the door I had locked long ago. I took a deep breath and pressed call. It rang once, twice, then his voice came through, smooth as always. "Wow, is this really you?" I smiled a little, but it wasn't joy. It was bitterness. "Yes, it's me." He laughed softly. 8 years, and you still sound the same. "So, how's the lucky man?" The question burned like acid. "He's fine," I said coldly. "I saw your family pictures last Christmas. You look happy." I replied. There was silence. Then his voice softened. "Talk to me. What's wrong?" Something inside me broke again. The words came out before I could stop them. "I don't even know. Everything feels wrong. I need to breathe." He listened quietly. Then he said, "Sometimes it helps to step away for a bit. Meet old friends. Catch up." And that was it. The invitation I didn't need. The temptation that found the perfect time. I hesitated. I could hear my husband's laughter from a memory, the way he used to pull me close, kiss my forehead, and say, "You're my peace." But at that moment, peace didn't matter. Pride did. So, I said yes. "Maybe we should talk," I whispered. We agreed to meet that weekend. When I ended the call, my hands were shaking. A part of me knew I had crossed a line I might never come back from. But another part, the angry, wounded part, whispered, "Good. Now he'll know how it feels." That night, my husband came home tired. He kissed the kids, asked about my day, and told me he missed my cooking. His voice was calm, loving, familiar. For a moment, guilt stabbed me, sharp and deep. But I turned away, pretending to be busy. He reached for my hand, his thumb brushing my fingers gently. "We are okay, right?" he asked. I swallowed hard and forced a smile. "Of course." He smiled, kissed my forehead, and walked away humming softly. I stood there, numb, staring at the man who had no idea that in just a few days, I'd break his heart beyond repair. The day came faster than I expected. I woke up feeling strange, like the world was holding its breath, waiting for me to ruin my life. I remember looking at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes were tired, my face pale. I tried to smile, but it didn't fit anymore. My husband had left early for a business trip. Or at least, that's what he told me. He kissed me before he left, said, "Take care of yourself and the kids. I'll be back tomorrow." His voice was warm. Familiar. It almost stopped me. Almost. But I had already made up my mind. David texted around 10 a.m., "Still coming." My fingers hovered over the screen. For a moment, I thought about deleting the chat, forgetting everything, and calling my husband to say I loved him. But pride whispered, "No. He cheated first." So I replied, "Yes. I'm on my way." I dressed carefully, like I was going for an interview. I don't even know why. Maybe part of me wanted to look beautiful one more time, to feel desirable again. I wore a simple dress, light makeup, nothing too loud. But my heart was beating like a drum. The drive to the hotel was quiet. Every red light felt like a warning. Every time I looked at the road, I saw flashes of my husband's face, his smile, his calm eyes, his laughter. I tried to shake them off, but they clung to me like ghosts. When I arrived, David was already there, leaning against his car, smiling like we were old lovers in a movie. "You look amazing," he said, his eyes scanning me slowly. "Thanks," I muttered. We went inside. The receptionist greeted him like a regular guest. That should have been another red flag, but my pride had already deafened me. In the room, everything felt wrong. The air was too cold. The silence too loud. He poured wine. I took a sip. It tasted like guilt. He touched my hand and said softly, "You don't have to be nervous. I just want to make you happy again." Happy. That word hit me hard. What is happiness, really? I had a man who loved me, children who adored me, a home filled with laughter, and I was throwing it all away for what? For validation. For revenge. He leaned closer. I could smell his cologne. My heart was pounding. Every second felt heavier than the last. My mind screamed stop, but my body stayed frozen. When it happened, it was brief. Meaningless. Empty. There were no fireworks, no satisfaction, just silence and a deep, burning shame that filled the room. Afterward, I sat at the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. "I can't believe I just did that," I whispered. David tried to touch me again, but I flinched. "I should go." He looked confused. "Already?" "Yes." This was a mistake. I grabbed my purse and rushed out. My heart was racing. My hands were shaking. I felt dirty, not from what happened, but from what it meant. I stepped into the hallway, praying no one would see me. But fate was waiting. As I walked out of the hotel room, the door to the next suite opened, and there he was. My husband. Standing in the doorway, wearing his conference tag, holding a fire. Our eyes met. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. The air turned heavy. His eyes, those calm, gentle eyes, went from confusion to realization to heartbreak in a single blink. My mouth opened, but no words came out. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just turned, walked past me, and left. And in that silence, I knew my world had ended. The drive back home felt like punishment from heaven itself. The road seemed longer than I remembered. Every turn mocked me, every bump reminded me of what I had just done. My body was shaking, but not from fear, no, it was guilt. That heavy kind of guilt that sits on your chest and refuses to move. I kept seeing his face in my head, those eyes that didn't even need words. I would have preferred he shouted, slapped me, cursed me, anything but that silence. Because that silence spoke 1,000 languages of pain. It told me I was no longer the woman he trusted. I was no longer his queen. I had turned myself into a stranger. When I got home, his car was already parked outside. He had beaten me to it. I sat in my car for almost 10 minutes, just holding the steering wheel and crying. My hands couldn't move. My legs felt weak. I knew walking into that house meant facing the consequences of my 9-second mistake. When I finally gathered courage, I stepped out. The house looked the same, but it no longer felt like home. The walls felt colder. The lights dimmer. The air itself was heavy. As soon as I entered, I saw him sitting in the living room, still wearing the same clothes from the hotel. His eyes were red, not from anger, but from tears. He didn't shout. He didn't ask questions. He just said one thing. "Go inside, pack your things, and leave my house." That sentence cut deeper than any knife could. I fell to my knees right there on the cold tile floor, begging. I held his feet, crying so loud the neighbors could probably hear. I kept saying, "Please, I'm sorry. Please forgive me." I don't know what came over me. But he didn't move. He didn't even blink. He just sat there, quiet, broken. When I realized he wasn't going to change his mind, I crawled to our bedroom, the same room where we had built dreams, shared secrets, and made memories. I opened the wardrobe, but I couldn't even touch my clothes. Every shirt, every shoe, every photograph screamed at me. I broke down completely. Then I heard our youngest child calling from the hallway. "Mommy, are you okay?" Her voice shattered what little strength I had left. She was too young to understand what I had done, and I prayed she never would. I hugged her tight, tears soaking her hair, whispering apologies she couldn't comprehend. My husband stood at the door, watching. There was pain in his eyes, yes, but also disappointment. That kind of disappointment you can never undo. Finally, he said quietly, "Please, don't make this harder. Just leave." That night, I left my home. The home I had built for 8 years. I didn't even know where I was going. I just walked out into the cold night air with my bag and my shame. Every step away from that door felt like a piece of me breaking off. I realized then that sometimes, you don't lose everything at once, you lose it slowly, step by step, with each regret echoing behind you. And as I stood outside that gate, looking back one last time, I whispered, "God, if I could turn back time, I would never touch that phone." But time doesn't listen to regrets. It only moves forward, leaving you behind to live with the ruins.